Many TOEFL candidates have good English skills but still score low on the reading test. They run out of time, misread questions, or make careless mistakes that cost them valuable points. High-scoring candidates use a completely different approach. They don't just read the text and search for the answers. Instead, they use a reading strategy that saves time and helps them find the correct answers quickly. We've helped thousands of students prepare this way through our TOEFL packages. They discover how strategic preparation can make a real difference in their results. In this video, you'll discover 10 essential tips for the TOEFL reading section. These tips cover all 3 reading tasks: complete the words, read in daily life, and read an academic passage. By the end, you'll know what it takes to score high and how you can get there. The first tip for doing well in TOEFL reading is to know the 3 reading tasks and what they test. This might sound obvious, but many candidates go into the test without a clear understanding of each task. When you don't know what a task is asking you to do, you might waste time figuring it out under pressure. That can hurt your score. The first task is complete the words. In this task, you'll read a short academic paragraph of about 70 to 100 words. The second half of every second word has been removed, and you need to fill in the missing letters. This task tests your vocabulary and your ability to process the meaning of a sentence. It also tests how you think about the spelling and form of words. The second task is read in daily life. In this task, you'll read short, real-world text like social media posts, emails, and news articles. The texts range from 15 to 150 words, and you'll answer 2 or 3 multiple-choice questions. This task tests your ability to understand everyday English. It also covers informal language and idiomatic expressions. The third task is read an academic passage. In this task, you'll read a passage of approximately 200 words on an academic topic, such as history, science, or business. You'll answer 5 multiple-choice questions that test your understanding of the main idea, supporting details, vocabulary in context, and inferences. When you understand what each task is testing, you can approach it with the right mindset. You will also have a clearer strategy from the start. The second tip is to read the first sentence of the Complete the Words passage carefully. In this task, the first sentence is usually complete and unedited. This provides the context you need to understand the paragraph's topic. You can then start filling in the missing letters. Many candidates skip the first sentence and jump straight to the blanks. This is a mistake. If you don't understand the paragraph's topic, it is much harder to find the missing letters. The first sentence introduces the subject and conveys the overall meaning of the text. Once you understand that, the missing letters become much easier to work out. For example, if the first sentence mentions ancient civilizations and their architectural achievements, you immediately know the paragraph is about history and construction. When you encounter a word like this later in the paragraph, you already know the word is likely buildings because it fits the context perfectly. Always use the first sentence as your anchor for understanding the whole passage. The third tip is to use context clues to fill in missing letters in the Complete the Words task. You don't need to guess randomly. The surrounding words in the sentence give you strong hints. The overall meaning of the passage also helps you identify what each missing word should be. When you reach a blank, read the whole sentence first. Look at the words before and after the blank. Ask yourself what type of word fits grammatically. Also, consider what word makes sense in the context of the passage. For instance, a sentence might read, "Scientists have," and here comes the gap, that the species is endangered. The context of scientific discovery and the beginning letters disc point to the word discovered. You should also think about word families. If you know the root of a word, you can work out its correct form. The more you read academic English during your preparation, the more naturally these patterns will come to you on test day. Context is a powerful tool in the complete the words task. Using it well can help you fill in the blanks correctly. Now, here is something important. Many TOEFL candidates think that knowing a few reading tips is enough to get a strong result, but it's not enough. To do well in TOEFL reading, you need to understand all question types and use effective reading strategies. That's exactly what we teach in our TOEFL packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the reading test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how TOEFL reading questions are designed and what strategies they need to use to find the answers quickly. Our TOEFL packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and much more. If you want expert guidance for your TOEFL preparation, click the link below to learn more. The fourth tip is to skim and scan in the Read in Daily Life task. This is one of the most important strategies for this task. This is because the texts are short and practical, not complex academic essays. You don't need to read every single word from beginning to end. High-scoring candidates use skimming and scanning to find the information they need quickly. Skimming means reading a text quickly to get the overall idea. You look at the heading, the first line, and any key phrases that stand out. Scanning means looking for specific information. This could be a time, a name, a price, or a particular phrase. When you read the question first and then scan the text for relevant details, you can save a lot of time. For example, if you're reading a restaurant menu and the question asks about a specific ingredient, you don't need to understand the entire menu. You can just scan for that ingredient and identify the correct dish. Practice this approach with real-world texts during your preparation. Menus, schedules, advertisements, and social media posts are all great materials to work with. The fifth tip is to understand informal language and idiomatic expressions. The Read in Daily Life task often includes them. Unlike academic texts, everyday English includes casual phrases, abbreviations, and idioms. These can sometimes be confusing for non-native speakers. If you're not familiar with this type of language, it can be difficult to answer the questions correctly. For example, a text message might say, "I'm swamped this week," or a social media post might include the phrase, "give it a shot." These expressions don't have literal meanings. Swamped means extremely busy, and give it a shot means to try something. If you read these expressions literally, you might misunderstand the text and choose the wrong answer. Therefore, make sure you build this skill. This will help these expressions feel natural when you encounter them in the test. The sixth tip is to read the questions before the academic passage in the Read an Academic Passage task. This is a strategy that many high-scoring candidates use. It can save you a significant amount of time. Knowing the questions in advance helps you identify exactly what to look for while you read. Instead of reading the passage first and then going back to find information, you can locate the relevant sections as you read the first time. This reduces the amount of rereading you need to do. It also helps you work through the questions more efficiently. For example, a question might ask about the purpose of a specific paragraph. You will then know to pay close attention to its structure and function as you read. Another question might ask about the meaning of a particular word in context. You will then know to look out for that word and how it's being used. This proactive approach can make a difference in how smoothly you move through the task. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 4 more essential tips for TOEFL reading. The 7th tip is to focus on the main idea and supporting details in the Read an Academic Passage task. Many questions will ask you to identify what the passage is mainly about. Others may ask what a specific paragraph explains or which detail supports an idea. If you read passively, these questions become much harder to answer. You should think about the structure of the text as you go. As you read the academic passage, ask yourself, what is the overall topic of this text? What point is the author making in each paragraph? Also, consider what evidence or examples are used to support that point. These questions can help you actively engage with the text, rather than just moving your eyes across the words. A strong technique is to briefly check the function of each paragraph as you read it. The first paragraph usually introduces the topic, the middle paragraphs develop the ideas, and the final paragraph may summarize or draw a conclusion. When you understand this structure, you can locate information much more quickly when answering questions. The 8th tip is to build your academic vocabulary. Several questions in the Read an Academic Passage task ask about the meaning of words or phrases in context. These vocabulary questions require you to understand how a word is being used in a specific sentence. If your academic vocabulary is limited, these questions can cost you points. The good news is that academic vocabulary follows predictable patterns. Words like demonstrate, illustrate, and evaluate appear frequently in academic texts. Learning these high-frequency words is one of the most efficient ways to improve your reading score. You should also make sure to understand their meanings in context. For vocabulary questions, the surrounding sentences usually give you strong hints, even if you don't know the word. Look for the overall meaning of the sentence and the paragraph. Ask yourself what type of word fits the tone and content. You can often narrow down the answer by eliminating options that clearly don't fit the context. This helps even if you're not certain of the exact definition. The 9th tip is to be careful with inference questions. In the Read an Academic Passage task, some questions ask you to infer something. This means the answer is not directly stated in the text. However, it can be logically concluded from the information given. These are often the trickiest questions because candidates sometimes choose answers that are too extreme. A common mistake is choosing an answer that sounds reasonable but goes beyond the passage. The correct answer to an inference question is always closely grounded in the text. It should be a logical conclusion that you draw from the evidence. Avoid making assumptions based on general knowledge or personal opinion. When answering inference questions, always go back to the passage. Find the specific sentences that the question refers to and read them carefully. Ask yourself what you can reasonably conclude from them. The correct answer will follow directly from the text. If an answer requires you to assume something the text doesn't support, it is likely wrong. The 10th tip is to manage your time across all 3 reading tasks. You have about 30 minutes to complete the reading test. That's not much time. You need to use that time wisely across all 3 task types. If you spend too long on one task, you may not have enough time to finish the others. For the Complete the Words task, the passage is short, so try to move through it efficiently. For the Read in Daily Life task, the texts are brief and practical. Skimming and scanning should help you work through them quickly. For the Read an Academic Passage task, the passage is longer and the questions are more complex. You will need to be more deliberate in how you read and answer each question. A useful habit to build during practice is to check your pacing regularly. If you notice you're spending too much time on a single question, it's okay to make your best guess and move on. In a time test, moving forward is often better than getting stuck on one question. This prevents you from running out of time for the rest. Consistent pacing across all 3 tasks is a practical way to protect your score. These are 10 essential tips you must know to improve your TOEFL reading score. Apply them to every task in the reading section, and you'll start to feel much more confident and in control on test day. If you want expert guidance for your TOEFL preparation, check out our TOEFL packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, mock tests, templates, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their TOEFL score too. See you in the next video!